Hey folks, welcome back to the 4099 podcast with your hosts Dima and
Nervous Nick.
Nervous Nick. So Nick, intro this one up. Let's get into it.
All right. Today we have a very special guest.
You literally just chewed me out for that.
No. Today I'd like to welcome to the show what I have just announced as a pillar, a beacon of influence and inspiration. Senor Wolfgang, how we doing?
I'm doing good, man. How you guys doing?
It's good to be in here, man.
Finally. We're trying to set this up for a hot minute.
Yeah, man. It's microphones and technology in general.
And schedules.
You know, it just all collide. And
finally, though,
yeah.
it's here. We're doing
moment of bliss. Finally, behind the mic, we finally are recording. It's really good to have you in here. Thank you for
It's good to be here.
really taking time out of your schedule. I know you're a busy dude, and kind of meeting in the middle, breaking bread in a way, you know, and coming in. So yeah, really nice to have you in here. Tell the folks what I want to know, because I met you through Nick, right?
Okay.
And so I kind of want to draw this context for the beautiful listeners and viewers of the podcast. So you do music?
Yes.
And so how did you get into the music thing, first and foremost?
Okay, so I've been doing music since I was 8 years old. So it was around the time where
Crack that.
It's around the time where Lil Bow Wow and stuff like that. Like he was like one of the biggest things, and I remember being real young and watching one of Bow Wow videos, and in every video, when you were like a child star at that time, a bunch of women used to like chase you in a car, right? You'd be leaving out of the mall, they chase you in a car, you got
Paparazzi sniffing.
exactly, right? So being young and not really understanding, I was infatuated with that. I was like, that's what I want, right?
I want that life.
So when I brought it to my father, I told my dad, I said, look, this is what I want to do. My dad always asked me why you want to do something. What is your why, right?
So your intention.
Exactly. So I tell him why. No, you can't do it. If that's what you want to do it for, if you want to do it, go back to the drawing board, figure something out, and bring it back to me on why you want to do it. And for a long time, I just couldn't, being young, I was young, right? That's all that's what I was seeing. I didn't really understand why I wanted to do it. And I remember being in third grade or fourth grade, and we used to have map of the United States on a playground. And the fifth graders used to always battle rap there, always. And the younger people, they used to look into it and stuff like that. So I used to stand around there, and then just being amazed by what they can do and being so young, like me, I'm like, okay, that's why I want to do it, right? Right? I just wanted to be good at it, right? And I wanted to be better than those guys there. And I remember bringing it back to my dad, and he was like, still not good enough. He was like, but he had a friend, his name was Jerome, and Jerome, I remember he wrote my first rap for me. It had me memorize it over the weekend. I went back to school on Monday, third grade or fourth grade, what I was at this time. I stepped on that mat and beat a fifth grade at that time, and then that's when like all the praise that you was getting, and it was like, oh, it's a third grade, it's a fourth grade, whatever I was. I can't really remember, but it was exciting for me. It was electrifying. I was like, all right, that's what I want to do. Then I started to write my own stuff, right?
Yeah.
He broke it down to me on how I should write it, rhyme and things.
This is
like
we're talking about Jerome.
Exactly. And he broke it down. He broke it down to me about doing like how I should do things. And I remember at this time I was getting an allowance. We was getting $5 a week, me and my sister. And I remember saving up 3 weeks for this radio that I saw inside this beauty supply store down the street from the home. It was like a tape deck, and it was like a speaker, right? One speaker, whatever, a little small thing. It was blue. It was blue and silver. And so I remember saving up and getting it, and I remember I had a yellow notepad, and my dad gave me that flip back like this, and I started writing. I remember the first thing I wrote was, mind you, this was the height of like Lil Bow Wow and stuff like that. So the first thing I wrote was this thing called Game Time. It was basketball inspired rap. They was doing it a lot at that time. So I did that, and I remember writing more stuff as I got older, and I remember recording. I used to record on that tape so much that it would go all the way to the end, and I would flip it over and press it again, record, and I would go again, you know, and stuff like that. And then I just became real good at it. And my dad used to always bring me outside, like, to the older guys, like, oh, my son could do this. Listen to my son. It was always a talent show. Whenever I was around my dad, he was like, oh, Quay, come do this. Oh, Quay, say this one. Oh, Quay, say that one from, you know. So it just like, I started to prepare myself over and over, like, all right, I got to be ready the next time he bring me out there with these older guys who really know how to rap, you know. So I went out there, and I just developed a different type of love for it. And I remember that journey started when I was 7, 8 years old, and then after that, I just, you know.
So tell me, because you were, this is, I think it's really important to mention and focus a little bit on, is that intention, right? And I think it's just the best thing for your dad to really just, you know, take his son and be like, why do you want to do this? What's the why? Because that in a kid, that creates that secondary frame of thought.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not just reacting to things that I want. I'm not just reacting to impulses. I'm actually breaking these down. I'm internalizing them within myself as a kid, as a child. And it brings up and turns a kid into a man, right?
Definitely.
And so, like, how did this intention with making music change over the years? Because I remember you first was like, no, I want to do this because I want this reaction.
I want a horde of women chasing me out of the mall.
Now, so over the years, you start to, like, you get older, so you start to find yourself and stuff like that. And so the time passed. Like, so where I'm at now, like, this is how much I evolved. Where I'm at now, to mention women, money, cars, and stuff in your rap is corny to me. You know, it's like, it's not it. You are lacking something. You know, you're
substance.
Exactly. Like, you don't really have it there, and maybe you should try to do something else, right? So as I grew up, also my father always taught me, like, life lessons. You know, so if I would have something, my dad was my, you know, like, my first audience, so I bring something to him, and if it's too much, like, are you talking about women? Are you talking about this? You talking about stuff that you don't have? No, go back and rewrite it. You know, so I had to find myself, you know, as he sent me back numerous times, like, nah, go back and rewrite it. Go back and rewrite it. Find something different way to really talk about, you know. And then I just started to, you know, as I grew up, I evolved. My little brothers was a big part in that too, because all my music, I don't curse in my music, right? So when I first started, I did or whatnot, and I didn't curse in my music because when my little brothers would listen to me, right, they were younger at this time, right, and they would want to say the songs and stuff like that, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just stop putting curses in it. And it's so crazy, I did that for them to the point where now my little brothers, they're older now, they like, wait, maybe if you curse in your music, you know, it'll give a different effect. And I'm like, I stopped this crap for y'all when y'all couldn't, you know, you couldn't say it around mommy and stuff like that, right? So, but I mean, they're young, you know, like 21 and 22. So I gotta explain things to them as like my dad explained things to me, because if I would have took off when I was 21, 22, that you would have got a different guy, you know? Right. So, I definitely learning my purpose in the music and the intentions behind everything. I definitely, you know, formulated a different plan and a different way I wanted to go about things. So, yeah.
So what's your intention now?
So, I mean, now my intention is so my music, basically my music is motivational music, right? So it's like sometimes you want to have fun and stuff like that or whatever, and you want something that feels good, but like J.Cole type music, you know, a
little bit more conscious.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a little bit more conscious or whatever. Like, you would never catch me mentioning like money or like women or stuff like that or whatever.
But if you do, it's to explore that.
Yeah, and it's a different way. Right. It's a different way, right? Speaking of that, I had a song called 4 a.m. in Jersey, right? I had a song called 4 a.m. in Jersey. I wrote this song maybe like 2 years ago, and the song was It was about a stripper having to strip to pay her tuition to get through college. But the way that I flipped it, it was like I was telling her, I was that voice, that conscious voice, right? I'm telling her, like, look, you don't got to do this, right? You don't have to do this. You can go about it in different ways, whatever. But the hook was real fun. The hook was talking about how her tuition wasn't paid and how the guys at the club, so it was like it brought people in. And then the conscious verse came on and it was like, look, you don't gotta do X, Y, and Z and stuff like that. So I do a lot of stuff like that. Like I like to call it like brain music. Like I like to pick your brain. I like to flip things up and so make you think about it, listen to it over and over and be like, damn, that's some deep stuff.
So like the verse is the thought. It's like the voice of reason, and then like the hook is kind of your. I'm pulling like. I'm trying to figure out how to say this.
The verse is more of the consciousness, right?
Yes.
You internalizing in her head.
Yes.
But the hook is more of like that hard shit.
It's
like
more
the shit
like
that bangs.
Well, exactly.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking more like the voice of anxiety. It's like why you're doing what you're doing. But
Yeah,
this is like how to get out of that.
Yeah. When it came to like 4 AM in Jersey, now recently in February I released a 5-song, 6-song EP called Trap Joc, right? So, granted, I go by WolfgangJoc. This EP is called Trap Joc, right? It's trap vibes from me, conscious. It's conscious me on trap beats. It was brilliant. Like everybody was like, this, because it's the music that they're listening to. Everybody was like, this got to be your best work. This is your best work to us, like, right? Because I'm still getting y'all on tracks. Like I have tracks like Fever and stuff like stuff that makes you really feel good. But then you jump on the verse and you're like, wait, no, he's really talking. It's not it's good. I'm listening to it and it's a bop, but this guy is really actually saying something,
right?
So and I came up with the idea because I do a lot of conscious music. A lot of people know me for, my music is being conscious. My music is always having a message. So one day I was in the crib and I was like, my producer, he's back in New Jersey and he's been sending me beats since forever. And I told him, I was like, I need 5 or 6 trap beats. And he was like, wait, who am I talking to? Like, right? So he like, wait, he's like, what? I said, the idea that I got is formulating a CD, titling it Trap Joc. It's like a alter ego, right? So you don't hear WolfgangJoc throughout the whole thing.
Oh,
all you hear is Trap Joc, Trap Joc. So it's different, right? It's like, whoa, I like Trap Joc, right? So I got that from. So he sent me the stuff. I sent it to him. He was like, "Bro, you're a genius. Like you just don't stop. Like and it's and it's just I wanted to attack the people that I didn't have with the trap vibes.
Yeah,
I brought them in. It was people who never responded to any music that was like, wow, this is it, right? This is it. And you still got my message, so I still got my point across.
Yeah.
With just trap vibes and a trappy type, upbeat hook and stuff like that. So it was kind of like tricking them, like,
That's actually that is a brilliant like strategy. And it pulls from memory. Everyone in the room remember Garth Brooks?
Yeah, I remember Garth Brooks.
He went off the rail one time and released an album as Chris Gaines. Anybody remember that at all?
I don't remember that one specifically.
And it was just like his like version of what would be like hard rock, and that blew up for him.
You know what it is like
people are biased. People are really biased. So what I was gonna do was when I first did Trap Joc, I was going to start a whole different. I was gonna make it separate from WolfgangJoc. So I was just gonna be like a whole different Apple page that you came on and everything. Like it would have been different. They'd be like, "Who is this guy? This Trap Joc guy, right?" And I was gonna do it like that at first, but something just compelled me, and I was like, I want them to see that this is what I really do, and you just don't listen because you're being biased, and I'm about to make you listen.
Well, something that comes to my mind, and I don't mean to cut you off, Nick, but
how dare you?
So what we're talking about here is we're talking about breaking barriers, and because we're talking about that, before we started recording, we're talking about that banana taped to the wall, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so what it is is like the museum concept, right? The institution, right?
Mhm.
There's this thing that's put into place. In this case, we're talking about Trap, right? So the Trap is an institution, right? And what we're doing is we're taking something outside of that institution, and bear with me here, folks. And we're taking that. Let's just say and we're talking about the banana on the wall. We're taking the banana, putting it on the wall, therefore taking something from the street and putting it in an institution with paintings all around the wall and sculptures, and we're breaking those boundaries and we're saying no. This also needs to be considered art. And we're having an institution support it, right? So kind of like what you were saying, Trap being the institution, Trap being the thing that people are really, really influenced by, and taking something like conscious rap, right? Something that a lot in the hip hop community isn't really looked on as cool.
Yeah.
And making it cool because you're using a trap style of beats, and production and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it is really, it's a really good idea. And
So Wolfgang's slapping bananas on the wall.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It was oh my gosh, it was like when I got the response from it was like, got you. You didn't, right? You didn't want to, people be like I hear people call like J. Cole boring. I'm like, are you crazy?
Oh God,
are you crazy? Like they're like, he's just boring, right? So you might not say it to me, but you probably listen and be like, get the same vibe, right? So when I did the trap thing, I was like,
like stuff like J. Cole or artists like J. Cole. When you listen to that music, you actually have to listen to that music.
Exactly.
You can't just
I think that's probably why it turns a lot of people off. Is they have to usually when you're listening to music,
you got to pay attention.
You don't have to think about it too much.
Like Tale of Two Cities rings my bell so fucking hard.
What was the one that he talked about? The first time that he had sex.
Yeah, that was
what was
the name of that?
I forgot what it was called specifically, but
Adolescence. I think it was Adolescence. But no, it was on Tale of Two Cities, I believe. When he was no, I think it was on Forest Hill Drive, if I'm not mistaken. It was on one of them, but
and the video with the dogs and like not having just him be the center of focus, but the dog, man, that was silly, but that was fucking awesome. Because it was nobody would have had that concept, right?
That's true.
And it keeps it PG.
Where's
Kids
J.
can look
Cole
at
from,
it.
though?
North Carolina?
That's
what I thought.
Yeah. He's from
Vietnam.
Yep, he's from North Carolina. So, no, I'm wrong. It was 2014 Forest Hill Drive, which had Tale of Two Cities and had Adolescence, stuff like that. Like, the way he just put stuff is like, how could you not? He did the same thing too. He did it with KOD, right? He dropped the trappy type album, but he still gave you Cole. And it was people who was coming out the woodworks like, oh, this is it, J. Cole. And I'm like, y'all haven't been listening to this man forever, right? Now you just now is it because you gave him this type of vibe, like.
Yeah, and so it goes back to what we're saying. Like, people have a bias, and it's up to the artists to pull them out of that because it's bullshit and it hurts you.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially in a world, I always tell this to anyone that I'm talking to, is like, especially in a world that we're living in now with so many different platforms, so many different people, it's like, if you're doing just one thing, you're limiting yourself.
Oh my gosh.
You're limiting yourself. You have to find different streams of income, different streams of creativity, inspiration. I mean, it's almost impossible to just focus on one thing at this point, right? You're almost taking something away from yourself, you know, when you do that. So
I was so afraid to integrate my platforms, like with the business into the music and the police into this. It was like, that was a scary thing because you didn't want to blur one thing, coming on too strong with something else or whatever. But you have to do plenty of things, because like I think they say like average millionaire, like have like 6 streams of income or something like that or whatever. So
now you did say something about Jersey, and I want to give your your state and your city a little bit of shine and a little bit of glow, because I'm assuming it had a huge impact on the way you
crazy impact. Yeah.
So talk us through that. How was it like growing up in Jersey, and when did you transition over here?
So I was born in Newark, New Jersey, and I was raised there to about like 10. Then I moved to East Orange, New Jersey. So that's kind of like where I call home, because that's where I really like felt myself, you know, right? East Orange, New Jersey. Went to school in East Orange, graduated in East Orange, and then I moved down to South Jersey towards the Lang City area. And
is that closer to New York? The further south you go?
So the north is closer to New York,
yeah.
So the south, I moved. That's close to like the shore and the beach and stuff like that.
How far are you from like Tom's River?
Tom's River was from South Jersey. Tom's River was about, I want to say, maybe 40 minutes.
Okay.
And then from North Jersey, probably like the same. It's hard. Tom's River is in the middle, so it's exit 80, and yeah, Tom's River is like smack dab in the middle from North Jersey and South Jersey. So I left. I graduated in 2009 from high school, and then I left North Jersey, moved down to South Jersey. From South Jersey, I was down there for a couple years, and I moved from South Jersey to Atlanta, right? And I was in Atlanta for 2 years, and then I moved from Atlanta to here.
Okay, I see.
And that's what, yeah. So, but Jersey, I mean, it's home, right? It's like it's my roots. So it helped me formulate into the person I am now, right? Into the music that I put out now, into just what I do, how I move, and things like that. Just being relative with a bunch of stuff. Jersey is just it. Like it's my core. It's my core, right? Everything in me is New Jersey.
Right. Yeah.
Everything in me is New Jersey. So yeah.
What's the vibe difference from Jersey from kind of like a north state to going down to the south? I mean, especially Atlanta. That's the deep south. You know.
Yeah.
What I mean?
So it was
a little Nicki joke.
So going down to Jersey is definitely much faster than Atlanta and North Carolina. Atlanta is a bit faster than North Carolina.
Okay.
Atlanta gave me that up north vibe, but you was in the South, right? Everybody was friendly. Everybody's not. New Jersey is not like that. Like you get that, you got the up north vibe, but people mean mugging and people don't. People just angry and don't walk close to me type of stuff. Like so, it wasn't. It was a little difference with that as far as like hospitality, like that Southern hospitality stuff is a real thing. Yeah. So that was the bit, that was the difference. Jersey and North Carolina is night and day. Right. It's night and day. So, but I enjoy it because I grew up in like the fastness a lot. Right. So when I got down here, it was like it was a break. It was like, oh, okay. Now I can step back and draw up a different game plan. So yeah,
and it is interesting to talk about the North and the South because of that fastness that you're talking about. Yeah. I find a lot of people. I have a lot of friends from New York. I try to go to not in the last year, but I try to go up to New York at least twice a year. And what I notice is people that move from the north to the south are a little bit more successful. And why is because they literally hop on every opportunity they have. Every opportunity they have. They're almost like people on caffeine here, right? It's like you have a cup of coffee, you're like, this and this. So it's like, it is interesting to look at is like the psychological difference and how people move, how people react to certain things, right? A lot of people from the north that move down here are like weirded out by how nice people are and when a person smiles at you,
exactly,
and so it's like it is interesting to mention.
It's like,
so did you find that?
Yes, definitely. So being from up north, it's like everybody, the competition is heavy, right? With everything, so you develop as you're growing up, you develop becoming this person to stay fit for competition at any time and to prevail, more than competition. So when I got down to having that set my mindset up, right? So when I got down to the South, it was like, okay, so when I was in the North, it was like, all right, practice, right? You running down the court, you making layup, you practicing, like you watching film, you like, all right, this is what I gotta do, cause down the street got this, and you gotta move different. You got down to the South, you have go-getters down here too, but now it's like a layup. It's like a layup now. It's like you really can't rock with me on this level, so I'm just going to continue to just run circles around you like this, right? So it's like I've been asked a lot, like, why do you do so much? You know, down here, like, why do you do? It's because I just know, I know the path to success. Not saying that the people in the South don't know the path to success. We all know the path to success, but it's just that it was a little bit harder getting it up there. So because it was so much competition, it's like if you take a food truck and put it on the streets of Manhattan. What?
No.
What?
No.
But you have food trucks that go out there faithfully every day that's not discouraged with another food truck being there, and they like, all right, you gonna make your money, I'm gonna make my money, and I'm gonna try to do better than you because I'm gonna reinvent my menu and stuff like that. I've heard of food trucks down here being upset that another food truck came to a spot that they was at. What? What? See, now you see the difference, right? It's like in Manhattan, in front of the numerous buildings, but in front of like the big buildings where you like location is key, you got this type of truck, they all lined up. And it's fair game. It's like I watched a documentary on an egg roll truck, I think it was. Was it an egg roll truck? Anyway, this guy get up at 1:00 in the morning in New York. 1:00 in the morning to go pick up his truck. Bring his truck to get a prime spot, 1:00 in the morning. Go to sleep in his truck. Freezing New York cold, right? He go to sleep in this food truck. When he wake up in the food truck, he wake up at 7 a.m. He start prepping so they can be open by 10 a.m.
Wow.
Come on. That's a different type of grind.
That's
a different type of grind, right? And it's because you know it's other hungry people out there like that. So you want to get there first. You want to have, I need my spot. My location is key. I need to, I need that prime spot, right? And when you're not faced with things like that, you don't set up and practice for things like that. Like down here, it's not like that. You're not fighting over this food truck is here, this food truck is there, this food truck is there. And, in New York, it's like that. In New Jersey, it's like that. So it's like I was just talking to one of my boys and I was just telling him, he was like, yeah, you keep getting, you locking down permanent spots, right? For your little, because I know I got to build for that. I can't just keep bouncing around. I mean, it's cool, but I got to build up a location, build up this, and I know like what it takes to get there, right? So you can come, like I'm not bothered by other trucks or other things coming there and they like, oh, you sell the same thing I sell. Oh, it's good because I know my stuff is good, So It's like, all right, well, I'm almost certain. Like I had my permanent spot here was a guy who was set up there. The guy was set up there. It's the first time I seen him, so I pull up there and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna speak with the manager and them next because I do have Saturdays and Sundays here. But I pulled up there on the side of him and opened up the same thing. Like he was looking like I was crazy. This is what we do. This is what we do. If you're not built for it, pack up and move. Right?
Yeah, no. Like down here, like they're gonna look at you like their neighbor just walked over to their yard and set up shop for a yard.
Exactly. And the crazy thing is, the look you gave me, you in my spot. It's my spot. Nobody was open here at this AutoZone. You're in my spot. So then I went there. Because you got to, even though you practice and you play hard and you can bump shoulders down in the paint, you got to make sure everything is solid. So I go inside there and I'm like, look, I thought I had Saturdays and Sundays over here. And they're like, oh, you do? They're like, I don't even know who authorized blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right, so I want Saturdays and Sundays here permanently so nobody else, was able to get them in. And they're like, okay, you can have Saturdays, Sundays here permanently, and they're going to have to move around the schedule because their loyalty was to me. I started there first, right? So, I mean, and that's the way you got to play, right? It's a jump ball, right? Who going to get up there and tap that ball first, right? So it's like me locking down my Monday time slot, at Olin or whatever, right? Only time you'll see somebody there at that time spot is if I call out or if I, it's not like you're not about to come there and just set up and be like, or ask for Monday, because right now it's slowing down, but in the summertime it's going to be crazy.
Now we are talking a lot about food trucks and a lot of folks don't have the proper context.
So let me
really
get this.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So this had to be right at about 6 to 8 weeks ago, about 2 months. For a while now, I'd say for the better part of half the year, we've been going and spending Thursdays at this establishment. Drop the name, Odin, for our little hangouts with our group, and we just sit down, go over what's going on in everyone's life for the week, like just checking in. And that was our spot. And then one day, this hot dog truck rolls up, and I'm a fucking hot dog fiend. I'm a red blood American. I'm getting in on this action. And I remember I was having the shittiest Thursday. And well, it was Wolfgang. He's the one dishing out these fucking bomb-ass hot dogs, right? And I didn't know that these were going to be good hot dogs. Right? I was just like, I'm hungry. Hot dog, why not? I'm hungry. I'm going to do this because, well, this is what's here today. And the first thing he says to me is like, hey, man, how's your day going? And just the way he said it, the way he delivered that, I felt like he genuinely was like curious about how the hell I'm doing. And I started to give like a half-hearted answer, just that commoners like, not too bad. But we got into it. Yeah, I didn't shoot it off like just meh. We dove in. And we actually started talking about like the shit we're doing and the shit that's going on in my life. Talk about school. And this is when he hit me with like some like the first bit of like inspiration that he's delivered. It's been more than just this one instance. But he was like I was telling him like, about my woes and whims, and he said, well, I was a police officer for a while and I had some things happen. And now I'm doing work that feeds my soul. Mm. And that is where inspiration became like a big thing to me. It's where like I started to see like life telling me to find purpose and to pursue that. And yeah.
So you connected to it. He gave you
this dude
the platform to really be able to connect to him.
Because I mean, he was just being genuine with me, and I can't appreciate that more. Like,
and that's how opportunities are created, right?
Exactly.
Now you're here.
Exactly.
Now you're talking about what you got going on, and do we want to get into the business?
Just to kind of follow that through, though, he's been there almost every single week.
Yep.
And he's been in the same thing.
And so it's like my therapy session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about I think and we will get back to the music thing because that's super important. How did that come about? Like what led to you finding a project that feeds your soul?
So I remember, first off, I just can't stand a job. I just working in, like when I used to police, I used to sit in that car for 12 hours. 12 hours, and sometimes like you get halfway through the shift and you be like, gosh, this time need to hurry up. This needs to speed up, right? So I've always been like that though, right? And I come from a long line of like entrepreneurs. My mom, my father, they all got businesses, successful businesses and stuff like that. So I know it started back in 2012, 2011. I was just thinking like, I was doing security at this time. I was working 2 jobs. So I was working at Bally's Casino at the beach bar. I was doing that beach bar security. And so that would be throughout the day. So I worked there from 8 at night to 4 in the morning. Then I will leave there. I will go over to the Golden Nugget and I will go sleep in the, room? The break room. Because I didn't want to drive all the way back home. And I would sleep there from about 4-ish to about 7. And go to the locker room, clean up, get ready for a shift there from 8 to 4. Right? And I was doing that a lot. And I was like, this stuff got to stop. I can't keep doing this, right? So I was thinking of different business ideas and stuff like that. And I remember at the time I was on YouTube and I came across this guy named Ben. And I was looking at the story. His story was that he had a successful real estate business, I believe. And it all went downhill once the market crashed, 2007, 2008. And when that crashed, I forgot how he started and how he got into hot dogs, but he got into hot dogs. And he started to build and get everything back. And he was like, crap, hot dog saved my life. So he wrote a book called Hot Dog Saved My Life, right? So now I was curious, right? I'm listening to this guy, Ben. I'm like, all right, he said hot dogs at minimum with a good location, $100,000 a year. I'm like, nah, I ain't $100,000 a year, right? So I'm in his car, I'm patrolling, doing my second shift at the Golden Nugget. And the radio host come on. I remember it was Tom Joyner. And the radio host come on and he's like, you want to know how to make $100,000 in a year? Stay tuned. I'm like, this guy come back on and say hot dog. It is ball game. It is complete ball game. And he came back on and he was like, a hot dog cart. I said, get the heck out of here. I said, so, I called my wife. I was like, we doing this. We doing the hot dog cart. She know me. Ever since we first met, I've been given a bajillion ideas. Like, baby, we need to do this. We need to do that. We need to do that. Because that's how my mind works. I'm like, I'm from North Jersey. She's from South Jersey. So I was moving a little bit faster there. How I'm like, this we got to do. This we got to do. So with that being said,
I just imagine what she said to you.
Yeah. With that being said, I started my quest, right? So it used to be a hot dog cart in Atlantic City, across the street from Caesar's Palace. It used to be a hot dog cart in Egg Harbor Township, which is a city 15 minutes away from Atlantic City, or 10 minutes away from Atlantic City. And it used to be by the movie theater. And it was a lady there. And I went there, and she used to be on Tuesday and Wednesday. So I asked the lady, I was like, how much do you do and stuff like that or whatever. And I remember she told me on Tuesday and Wednesday, she said she'd do about like $650 or something like that. And I'm like, both days? And she like, both days. That was nothing. I went down to the guy across the street from the casino, Caesar's Palace, right? So I asked him, it was a Saturday. I asked him, how much you do or whatever. And he was like, well, on Saturdays, generally I can do $2,500. Like from this hot dog cart, right? But you think Atlantic City, you got the boardwalk, everybody coming off, going to the casino, you drinking, you coming from the walk. It's a lot of stuff going on, so you got the foot traffic there to make the money. So
location.
Exactly, location. So I was like, damn. So the crazy part is they didn't own these hot dog carts. It was one guy who owned all these hot dog carts. Older guy. At the time when I was inquiring about everything, he was about 78. Right? He was a vet because in the city of Atlantic City, in order to run a hot dog cart, you have to be a veteran. Or in order to open up a type of business like that, you got to be a veteran.
Huh.
Yeah. So he was a vet, 78 years old at this time, 80 years old, and he got a couple inside Atlantic City because Atlantic City is only 32 blocks long. So we got a couple on this side of Atlantic City, a couple on this side of Atlantic City, then he got some outside of Atlantic City and stuff like that. So I'm like, all right, this is what I want to do. But, I procrastinated a lot. That was 2012. I could have been had this up. Restaurants by now, right? I procrastinated. I kept doing the security thing. I kept, but that's when I started to jot down my notes and watch my film. That's when I started to all right, this is what I got to do. This is what I got to do. This was going to make the hot dogs better. What's going to make this, So I procrastinated all them years. But in a sense, I didn't because I was still studying, right? I was still writing down stuff. So fast forward to now I open up in 2020. It seems easier to me, right? I don't struggle with it because I'm like,
because you did your homework.
I've been doing this forever. I've been watching videos forever. I just never took that leap to get in the cart. And the way I got this cart, the first cart, I had it when I was in Atlanta. My boy, he lived down in Atlanta. His dad was down there. His dad built the hot dog cart. The hot dog cart. His dad built that hot dog cart. And so his dad built that hot dog cart, and his dad had no use for it no more. He went back to work. So I kept my boy from down in Atlanta. He knew my dreams too. And he was like, look, my dad got a hot dog cart. I'm like, why are you just telling me this? And he was like, yeah, he don't want to do nothing with it. So I'm like, well, how much he selling it for? So he asked his dad. His dad was like, I built it for $700. I'll sell it for $700. I said, $700? I said, I'll come down there and get it tomorrow. Right? So we set up a day. It was like a week later after that. I went down there, drove down there with my brother, and we picked up the hot dog cart. And then the rest was history.
Wow, what a story. Holy crap.
The rest was history, yeah.
Oh, sealed in history, man.
That was meant to be.
That was meant to be. From that radio call, all those years really just studying the game to just that falling into your lap and just, sometimes.
That's how I know, like, this is going to be gigantic. Watch, it's gonna be a couple years from now, and it's gonna be freaking Damn Good Dogs, gigantic flagship restaurant. It's gonna be like, get the hell out of, because everything just lined up. I got too many signs on it. Everything just lined up. It was like God was just pushing it. Like, look, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. So and then you get into it, and you start to, you had no interest in it before you started, listening and following and seeing what's going on. But then you get into it, and then there you go with that up north mentality. You want to be the best. What make my hot dogs better? What makes my, like, you just came there, and I just switched the buns right now. Granted, I start with potato buns, right? I always have potato buns. I had the potato buns. Potato bun is a potato bun. It's a great bun. So it's not much.
It's a staple.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not like it's not, you don't do much to it. Right?
It's like table salt. You gotta have it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a regular potato bun. So I go to Restaurant Depot and I see split top buns. I like them better. I like the way they look better. I like the way I can load stuff on it better, right? It's splitting at the top, right? It's like a science. So I'm like, I like these, but they only have them in like white. They don't have them in potato. So I'm like, all right, what am I going to do? So before I had a plan, I just grabbed the buns anyway, because I'm like, I'm going to figure something out.
Yeah.
So I go home and I make this butter garlic, right? This butter garlic sauce or whatever. And what I do is, before I steam that split top potato bun, I'll put the butter garlic on there and then steam it now, right? So you kind of got the taste. So Nick came up. And I told him, right? I'm like, look, this is what I got now. You had to take the potato bun. So he tried it, and I wanted the honest opinion. Gave his honest opinion. It was good. But the thing is, the snag is, my wife don't like them, and she like, listen to me. You don't do that white bun ever again. She was like, potato bun is where it's at. So I was like, but I want the split top. So I found split top potato buns, right? I found split top potato buns. They come in a smaller packet than, getting more bang for my buck, but that's the risk you take in business, right? It's quality over quantity, always, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna go with it's not much smaller, it's like 4 buns shorter. So I'm gonna go with that and pay a little extra dollar, but it's quality over quantity, right? I want it to taste better.
Building the brand.
Exactly. And I think I'm still, even with the potato bun, it being sweet, I think I'm still gonna use the butter garlic on it, because it's gonna kind of like offset it. So I think,
But that butter garlic though, And my favorite thing, he does the bacon dog, right? And I love the bacon dog.
I love the bacon dog too.
but we're talking about this garlic butter sauce he's playing with. It is fire when it meets that buffalo sauce.
Oh, yeah, he did say that, yeah.
Because buffalo is already heavily based away from, with butter, and you get that spice in there with that sultry flavor. I'm just
So that's what I'm. So right now, oh my gosh, I got this trailer getting ready to come. So I'm like, when this trailer come, because the butter freezes up. It becomes a solid really fast, right? I got out there and it was not even 30 minutes, and it was already, I had to put it in put the container in some warm water as the steam table was going. But I'm gonna just get the brush and be able to brush it on there, right? So I can get the umph of it and not just the top of the butter, right? Get the umph of the flavors and stuff like that. But my wife, she and I was fighting her on it. I'm I'm not going back. I like this better, and because I thought I couldn't find split top potato, and she was like, no, you're not. You're going to listen to me. I'm I'm not. I don't care what you say. I'm keeping this white bun. And then I went into the supermarket, and they had them. And I was like, split top potato crap. I was like, it's shorter because I'm only getting I'm getting 4 less in there. So I'm like, just take the loss. Take the loss. But it's going to be a win, because when the people enjoy it, it's going to be something different.
I think a part of the loadout with that, the increase on that, is that you can get a wider spread of your condiments.
Yes.
Because you kind of have a shelf to build upon.
Exactly. That's why I like it, yeah.
And without that, when you go with a traditional bun, it's a rounded edge.
Yeah.
Or lack thereof edge.
Yeah.
And you can't really stack on that, which there's a pro and con shift in that.
Yeah.
But from a consumer standpoint, I'm getting a lot more value out of this.
Exactly. And the customer matters. So, you take that, you take it on the chin, and you just, you keep moving forward, So.
That was, that surprised the hell out of me to see that in the first place because you don't see the split top in the South very often.
Yeah.
That's definitely more of a New England thing.
Yeah, definitely.
But I loved it.
Hey,
I'm gonna keep loving it.
Listen, I have had your food and it's amazing, and we will give you the platform to let everyone know where they can find you, when they can find you. When we draw closer to the end.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But I do. Were you gonna say something?
I was gonna say also we were talking about this off camera, but as the trailer's getting ready and moving into a larger workspace, the menu's gonna grow and my appetite gets bigger thinking about it. I'm fucking stoked.
Me too, man.
I bet you. I had this one lady come to me at Alden, and she was like, she ate from me before. She ate from me numerous times. And she was like, what kind of hot dogs are those, right? Somebody did beef hot dog. And she goes, this is crazy. And she goes, I can't eat beef hot dog. And I just wanted to say, you eat from me every Monday here, right? Every freaking Monday you eat a beef hot dog. I guess you think a pork hot dog tastes a little bit different, but I'm like, every Monday you eat a beef hot dog. I'm thinking it to myself, and she's just like, I can't eat the hot dog.
Come
right?
on, lady.
So I had this one lady come to me last Monday, and she was like, first time I ever was asked this. She's are these beef hot dogs? Not that question. I was like, yes, they're 100% beef. You know, a lot of hot dogs you get from Sam's Club, it don't be 100% beef if you mix it with a bunch of other stuff
and whatnot.
Exactly. But we go quality over quantity. So she's like, she was like, are these beef hot dogs? And I'm like, yeah. And she was like, are these kosher hot dogs? And I'm like, it's crazy that you asked that because I don't know if you know this, I only cook with Hebrew National hot dog. Okay. That's the best hot dog. To me, it's the best. It's literally the best hot dog. It's the way that it's taste or anything like. So she was like, I'm not Jewish or anything. She was like, but when you taste it, it just seems like a rabbi prayed over it. This is what she tells you, right? So I'm like, yeah. So this is, it's Hebrew National. It's the hot dog that and that's even too much information to give out too, because a lot of people, they're not gonna buy it anyway. Because people are like, why do you pay that much for the Hebrew? It's quality over quantity, right? I did the numbers. I'm still winning in a sense, but it's quality over quantity. But even what will really blow your mind? Well, you probably already know, but the bacon is not pork bacon.
It's not.
That's a beef bacon.
Yes.
That's a beef bacon. It's a halal beef bacon. So it's what I get from Restaurant Depot, but it's a beef bacon. A lot of people don't know that and I'll put it on the menu because a lot of people, you'll get it and you'll be like, beef bacon. I had some guy actually told me when I was in the police academy, he was like,
it's another banana on the fucking wall.
He was like, what is beef bacon? Ew, how does that taste? I'm like, bro,
it's magic.
It tastes like bacon.
It's magic.
It tastes like bacon. So, I don't let them talk. I let the food do the speaking. They eat it and they get that bacon dog is the best seller. You get it, it's like, oh my gosh, this bacon is good. Let me get but it's beef bacon. It's not even pork bacon.
Right.
So
yeah,
but some people, things like that, right? They're biased about it or whatever, and they look at it and they be like, oh, what is that? Like, it's the reason I don't have kosher hot dogs on the menu, right? And then they be like, oh, what is a kosher hot dog? Bro, it's a hot dog. Like, what are you talking about? It's cut from cleaner meat. Like, it's a kosher hot dog. It's better than what you going to put in your body anyway. Like, but, man.
So, was it you who never had the beef bacon before until we hit the crepe spot, the crepe truck?
No, I don't think so.
Or was it someone else that was in our party?
I think it was someone else.
All right, yeah. And I had to explain that, beef bacon is, in my eye, it's a higher tier of bacon.
Yeah.
There's more, there's more meat to it. And there's more taste to it. So you can't go wrong with that. You can't. You can't.
And we use the same bacon. The crepe truck we use the same bacon. We get the same bacon from the same spot. Like, it's the same exact, the same exact bacon. And I just knew it's what I wanted to do anyway because it's what I eat, So I'm like, I'm gonna give you guys what I eat. I'm not gonna come up here and be like, all right, well, we're gonna try this, and I haven't tried it myself. Only thing I don't eat that everybody eats is coleslaw. I don't do coleslaw hot dogs. We just don't do that up north. I don't do coleslaw hot dogs. My wife make the coleslaw. And she was like, "Oh, just put some in the what's name and just taste it and see if it's good enough." And I'm like, "I don't even know what I'm checking for, right?"
Yeah.
So I got to let her taste it and be like, "Is it good?" She was like, "Oh, it's great." And I'm like, "Okay, whatever."
I'll take it.
Nah, like sometimes we go to the barbecue spot in town and they'll put the coleslaw like on the barbecue.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, man, I'll eat it if I gotta.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I want to go back to music a little bit.
Yeah.
And when you told me that you used to work in law enforcement and then also do music, my mind directly correlated that to the story of Rick Ross, right? And so how I think he was a correctional officer.
Yeah, correctional officer, yep.
And went into, rap and basically became a staple in rap, right? Everyone knows who Rick Ross is, right?
Shout out to all the pairs.
Shout out to all the pairs, But yeah, I mean, there is a little bit of a stigma or like an association because you're going into a landscape where basically every other song is like "fuck the ops," right? And
yeah.
So it's like, how is that kind of from your kind of eyes? Yeah. Looking at that and dealing with that and making music.
And that's why I mentioned earlier. I was like, I never wanted my platforms to like integrate, right? Because I've been doing music before I've been doing law enforcement, right? So I've been. Everybody know my platform's music, and then I had built up this platform with law enforcement on TikTok, and I was like, they're going to find out that I'm a cop, and like it's a stigma. It's like, bro, like we don't, even though I don't rap about that type of stuff, right? It's still like, how you gonna be a rapper? Like a rapper supposed to be this one thing, right? And when my video started going too viral on TikTok, it happened. Everybody was like, I didn't know you was a cop, But the response I got from it was a good response. It wasn't a bad response at all, right? People were like, yo, that's cool, because we know what type of person you are, so we know what type of cop you are and stuff like that. But like I said, at first I was afraid of like them,
like backlash kind of thing.
Yeah, like the profiles meshing, but it was probably the best thing that I've did. Yeah. It's probably the best thing that I've that I've done with when it comes to the music and the police and the way that the profiles mesh. I don't think you didn't tell them the story yet, right?
Hell no.
Oh God.
So the way the profiles mesh, right? So I was on TikTok. For a month, right? And if you look on TikTok, you're seeing there was a lot of cops humanize the badge. They doing like funny voiceovers that you do on TikTok in your uniform. I was on TikTok for a whole month, right? I was doing the little funny voiceovers. I had grew 50,000 followers, right? In that month. It was That's like, crazy. I'm talking about, and like literally as the day would go, I would wake up and it'd be 6,000 new followers, 7,000 new followers. It was ridiculous. It was like, I remember thinking when I watched Gary's thing, he was like, you should try to aim for this number every week or every month to grow up in followers. If you're trying to do this, you're trying to do that. And I'm just like, I totally like debunked the entire thing. Like it was ridiculous. Like I'm just like, oh, this is kind of crazy. So I get to 50,000 followers, right? 1 month, 50,000 followers. They started to go over to the Instagram. They going little by little, because I have the Instagram in the bio now. So they going little by little and stuff like that, right? George Floyd thing happened, right? I watched the video, right? Mind you, a little side note, I stopped watching videos of black people being treated the way that we are treated when it comes to law enforcement. I stopped it. I stopped it because it bothered me, right? So I didn't want to put up with it, whatever. So I was basically like shutting it out. So I'm in the car. I watched the video, right? The George Floyd video. I'm sitting in this uniform, right? I'm even more disgusted now. And now it's a different thing, right? I make a video, condemning the cop the way that, the cop did it, whatever. The video goes viral, right? 3 hours into the video being out, Internal Affairs from the police department calls me, right? Williams, you know where our office is at. Come here. Okay. I get there to Internal Affairs. Get up there. They didn't even mention the George Floyd video, right? They was like, you can't post in uniform. right? A bunch of bullcrap because a bunch of officers in the police department that I was working at posted in uniform all the time, right? But I know that it struck a nerve because of the George Floyd video, right? Granted, all the cops was on my side. They're like, we have training. We know what's supposed to happen and what's not supposed to happen and how everybody is held accountable for everybody on the scene, right? You know? They got this thing called getting stuck in policing. They have this thing called being stuck in the OODA loop, right? Where you can get stuck in the OODA loop really fast. Like when we had like tactic classes, you would draw your gun out and you'll say, get on the ground, right? And a person to be on the ground and you'll still yell, get on the ground because you're stuck, right? Like, bro, he's on the ground. He's there. He's on the ground. And that's a big thing. And that's a big thing inside policing. So they teach us that inside the academy. Don't get stuck in the OODA loop. Don't get stuck in that tunnel vision where it's like,
these automated
put your hands up and the guy hands is already up and you just like, put your hands up. Like, bro, my hands are up. What are you doing? Right? So, that big thing of not being stuck in the OODA loop, right? Once the officer was stuck in the OODA loop, right? Where we, as police officers, you are a first responder, right? You are the first ones on the scene, right? So if my knee is on your neck and you're telling me I can't breathe, everything in you, in any police handbook, anything, you stop, you sit the person up to where they can breathe, you confirm that they can breathe, and then you finish with your tactics, right?
Through.
Exactly, right? Which it wasn't happening, right? The guy just was like kind of like looking around, right? And George Floyd's on the ground. He's yelling, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, right? So you got that. So I'm disgusted by the video. So being disgusted by the video, I go and I put out the video. I'm sitting in uniform. I told you. The video started to go viral ASAP. My dog got 50,000 people watching me, right? So now with this being the height of everything, the video started to go viral. They call me an IA. Excuse me. They call me the IA. IA is like, you can't post in uniform.
Internal affairs.
Yeah, internal affairs. So, like, you can't post in uniform. So I was like, all right, whatever it is. Like, well, if you can take down the videos, then take down the videos or whatever. But we're gonna open an investigation into your social media. Right? All smoke to me. I'm just like, what you're gonna find? You're gonna find nothing. So, and you open an investigation on me. I'm not taking down the videos. I put them all on private, so I can only see them.
Right.
The world can't see them. Right.
Right.
Put them all on private before I put the videos on private. Literally, I'm walking down the flight, 3 flights of stairs from the 5th floor from IA to to outside. And literally the video was already on like World Star Shade Room. It's everywhere now. It's everywhere. Like, right. This was as I was sitting up there holding that 15-minute conversation with them, right? It's everywhere now, right? So I took, I did what I said I was going to do, right? Kept my word. Now the video is everywhere, right? It's over in Brazil. It's everywhere, right? Everybody I was America's police officer. Everybody is praising me at this time, right? So it's like, so now they're really upset. It's like, oh, I didn't do I didn't tell them to go post it on that. I didn't tell them to play it on CNN. I didn't tell them to do none of that. It just happened, right? I did what, I kept my end of the deal, put it down or whatever. Mind you, jump back to the music. Following the music, now I go back to live duty. I'm out there and working and stuff like that. Everybody's noticing me. Yo, officer from the. I'm glad you're in the city because now I feel like I can trust cops. This is a good response. I didn't get a bad response at all, right? Then I do. So now the TikTok grows from 50,000 followers to 240,000 followers. Right?
Wow.
This is all in a matter of a week.
That's insane.
A week, right? So now I got this fan base, right? Now I have this platform, right? So and it's so crazy because the stuff that I've been speaking on, like social injustice, economical injustice, like a lot of stuff, I'm just still doing it, but I'm doing it to a bigger platform, right? They called me back, right? They just don't want you talking. They call you back, right? They call me back. They say, okay, until we can figure out everything or whatever, we're going to put you on administrative leave. We're going to put you down in the records division. They take your gun in your badge. They take my gun in my badge, right? It broke me down like that. Yeah. So I'm taking my gun in my badge. I worked too hard for that, for you to take that, right? For just like that, and you don't have really no ground. You're just mad because I'm talking, right? they take my gun and my badge. I go down to internal affairs. I'm down there for like 2 months. I come up. I have a hearing. Right, it's the deputy chief, my superiors, IA superiors, or whatever the case is, and we talked for an hour. And then they were like, all right, let us deliberate. So they deliberated. And when I came back, they was like, okay, well, we feel as though it's beneficial that you be terminated, right? I thought it was a joke. Literally, I thought it was a joke. Yeah. I was like, yeah, that's impossible. Because I'm having conversations with my sergeant, with everybody else. I'm like, it's impossible for them to terminate me because you don't have really no grounds, right? They did it anyway. So they terminated me. The whole thing, as we spoke inside that meeting, the whole thing was that I've gotten too big, right? It's not much. They can't tell me to delete my social media, right? Because that's my freedom of speech, right? So instead of telling him to delete it, we can't tell him to delete his social media. So what we're going to do is he's just not going to be a problem of ours at all. So just let him go, which was a stupid mistake on their self because that's just going to be them. They're going to have to wear that. So they seeing everything that's going on, mind you, in that time, I've been on like numerous talk shows and stuff like that, right? I never mentioned the name of the police department, right? Mm-hmm. I broke down a story exactly. I just broke down a story with you guys. You guys obviously know because we're here. Mm-hmm. But I never for the viewer looking in, I'm on national TV. I never even mentioned the name of the police department. I never did none of that, right? Because I didn't want to bring any heat to the police department. When everybody found out where it was at, they started calling the police crazy, like, you just fired him. Why did it was ridiculous to the point where they had to put out a statement like, we didn't fire Officer Williams for the George Floyd video. We, it was some other stuff and we can't speak on it. Okay, so speak on it. What was the other stuff? I never been into internal affairs ever a day in my life as being policing, right? I was a stellar police officer. Ask any other police officer, any sergeant, lieutenant, captain, anybody, right? So now you basically like you wanted to silence me, right? And a veteran officer told me that. He said, if you get too big, they're going to try to silence you. He said, because it happened with me, and I wasn't as big as as what your stuff is doing. He was like, but they're going to try to silence you and not make you, like just do away with you. So if you talk, it doesn't show bad light on them. It's going to show bad light on them anyway because I was already one of you guys. So you can't just throw it away. So with them doing that, when they fired me, I went back to TikTok. 200,000, but that's different. It's a different ball game now, right? You threw the ball in my hand now, so you want to see me work already automatically. I was like, okay, if these guys fired me up here, because I always think about the extreme, right? I didn't think they was going to do it, but if they fired me up here, I'm going back to TikTok, and I'm gonna be transparent with my supporters, right? And I'm gonna just let it play its course. I go back to TikTok, transparent with the supporters. Now it's bigger than the George Floyd video. Now it's bigger than that. Now it's like this guy is becoming gigantic. Now I go back on the talk shows for follow-ups now. So now you got a problem on your hand, right? And you didn't make me sign an NDA not to mention anything, even though I didn't mention your department name and stuff like that. But they already knew once they started putting things together. So now I go back there. I'm on the talk shows. I'm on NBC. I'm on everywhere. Everything is just freaking through the roof now, right? Got a bigger platform now. And it was like, it opened a lot of doors. It was the best and worst thing that happened to me because it opened a lot of doors for me. And then it also, the only reason it was the kind of a bad thing is because I was, I worked hard for that. You just take nobody's gun and badge. You work hard for that, right? There's other cops out here that's really doing bullcrap and you know. So, but after that, like right now, I think my social media, I think my TikTok is like 270,000 people or whatever, something like that. They all love me. They all still check up on me, my Instagram grew tremendously. They verified me on Instagram. It was like, you made a monster. You did this now. Now you put me on a different ball game because now
it went Super Saiyan.
Exactly, because now with that momentum, and especially with Instagram is a different beast, right? With that momentum and that blue check, now it's like I'm kind of law. It's like my word is kind of law. It's like what we spoke about with the Mark Zuckerberg thing, right? It's kind of like it's smack dab there, right? No, so now I'm free. I get to speak as I please, right? You know, and now I'm talking. And I'm just like, you know, and it's like
they let you off leash.
Exactly. You just you allowed me to move into my purpose faster than what I thought what I thought moving into my purpose was going to be. Right. I never had plans on retiring as a police officer. I never had plans on that. I always had plans on opening a business, allowing a business to be so successful, and then resigning from policing. I always had that plan. But everything started to move fast. When they started to move funny and stuff like that, that's when I put the hot dog stuff into full gear. I'm like, oh, I'm not about to just quit. Right. I'm like, you're not about to just catch me out there, right? So I started putting into full gear. So as I was doing live duty on my 4 days off, I was working the cart. Where I had got the cart, I was working the cart.
This is where that northern mentality.
Exactly. So I was working the cart, and then when they did it, me and my wife we planned for the worst. It was like, all right, well, they did it, so let's get back to the drum board and let's do this. Let's utilize what we have, right? So at this point, I had a follower on these platforms. So it was like, let's utilize what we have. Let's work the following. Go and release T-shirts and stuff like that. Release everything. It's just going through. I'm seeing things where when I was 6,000 followers on Instagram and I released T-shirts back in 2014 to 2013, 10 now to hundreds of people just like, we want that. So now I'm building myself. Now I'm a brand. Now it's different, right? Mm-hmm. Now it's different. So with them firing me, helped me, acquire that, that stellar platform or whatever. And now I'm just still out here, making headway and still doing what I'm doing, but now I got better connections, right? Yeah. And better phone numbers in my phone and stuff like that, right? From big people and stuff, people who actually sympathize with my story, right? And they're just like, this is messed up, right? So this is what we're going to do for you, right? What you need us to do. We can put you on this platform to get you this, so it's just working the room to, to the best of your ability and stuff like that. So I was sour about it for a minute. And I was upset with it. But now I just look at it like it was a time in life where I was a police officer. I drive past some of the cars and I'm like, you kind of miss it a little bit, but yeah. But you keep, you keep pushing and you don't let it stop you and keep winning. Keep winning. Like what you gonna do? Yeah. So that was
taking
that.
Those W's.
That was that with the policing story. So it kind of kicked everything into full gear. It's like a whole backstory on behind me, like having this following on social media and being verified and stuff like that is like, y'all pushed me into this corner, right? I always thought I was going to get there and be verified and do all this other stuff too, but you sped it up for me a little bit, right? So now it's just opened so many doors. With like a verification badge, you can inbox anybody and you go to the top. You go to the top. They're at the top of their messages, and it's like you got a blue check. So now they're like, all right, let me see what this person got to say. But it's so crazy, right? Charlamagne the God, right? Mm-hmm. For the Breakfast Club. So Breakfast Club was one of the shows that I went on, right? During all this stuff happened.
Legendary
right?
show, yeah.
Yeah. So Breakfast Club was one of the shows that I went on. I was just stoked. I was like, it was out of this world because in 2014, I was booked to perform at Fairleigh Dickinson University in North Jersey. And Charlamagne was the host. And I was like, I got him where I want him. He going to be backstage. I'm going to perform and I'm going to talk to him. He was a cool dude. I performed. I spoke to him.
From South Carolina, I think.
Yeah, I performed. I spoke to him and I said, Charlamagne, I said, I'm going to be on the Breakfast Club one day. I'm sure he probably hear that. I'm sure he probably hear that a bunch of times, right? So I said, excuse me. So I said, Charlamagne, I'm going to be on the Breakfast Club one day. And he's like, yeah, man, just keep grinding. The typical nonchalant, like, just keep grinding. Right. They keep doing that or whatever. And it was like a Trap Joc moment. Like it was like, so when it finally got there, now height of Corona and stuff like that. So we did everything Zoom and stuff like that. But as we like prepping before the show and stuff like that, I'm looking at Charlamagne and DJ Envy and I'm like, Trap Joc. Got you.
Got it.
I got you. Like, oh my gosh. Like, I got you. I spoke. I didn't know it was going to happen like this, but I knew I was going to get there some way, somehow, right? So after all that, boom. So Charlamagne started to follow me, right? So Charlamagne started following. So I'm like, oh, that's big now. So now the stuff that I put out or whatever and stuff like that, he's doing so much different things out here or whatever. But I'm looking at our messages in the inbox, and I'm just like, the message before we first spoke again about like the stuff that's going on now, it was from 2014. It was a long drawn out elevated pitch that I had with music. I'll send it to everybody, and it was up there on Charlamagne thing, right? It never was read until now, right? Mm-hmm. So the likelihood of him listening to some stuff back from 2015 was like, let me see what he was talking about, because he never opened it before, right? But now, being friends is different too, because if you send me a message, it's gonna pop up right in my box. But even with other people, like so many other people, like I send a message and I'm getting responses now, because when we got a blue check, it goes directly to the top. So it's like, okay, who is this person? It got to be somebody, right? Yeah. So now let's figure out what's going on. So it kind of evened the playing field for me, right? So it kind of made the playing field a little bit more
easier now.
Yeah, easier, less rugged, right? So it's like less rugged. So it's like, all right, now now I'm rubbing shoulders, and and it's a good thing, because like Charlamagne, man, he just full of so much wisdom, right? He just got, he has so much wisdom, and the way he talk about things or whatever, like it captivates you on a different level or whatever. So that was big, but it don't stop there, right? Because now I'm like, okay, now we got to keep leveling up, because I need to go back to the Breakfast Club here in one of these positions where, where I'm talking like this or whatever, so we can really relive the moment. Like, you remember the first time I seen you, right? And he doesn't remember, like, but
absolutely.
But I'm gonna jog your memory. Like, you remember the first time I seen you, right? You remember it was Freddie Dickinson 2014, right? And I told you I was gonna be in the Breakfast Club, right? Now I'd have doubled down twice, right? So now I'm here. I was there virtually, but now I'm going to be now. Now I'm here.
You're gonna try to three-peat it.
Exactly. So it's good. It's good to have. It's good to have people in different places that empathize with you and understand. Or try to understand what you're going through or whatever, because your vision becomes more of, it's still your vision, but it starts to become a little bit of their vision too. Because they're like, all right, I want to see this happen, right? Because that's how I feel now, right? As I'm sitting here, a girl inboxes me, right? And she's like, so you remember me? We used to message back, a couple years ago. And I'm like, no, I don't remember you, but I'm glad that I'm glad you're doing good. Generic stuff, right? I'm glad that you're doing good or whatever. She see everything that's going on and stuff like that. So I'm like, I'm glad that you're doing good. She was like, yeah, we used to talk about music. And she was like, and I always wanted you to listen to my music, and you always would send me, you always would drop music, and then I would respond to the music and stuff like that. And she was like, and look at you now, like, right? It's just like, so it's like, so she's like, it puts, even though I'm not at that level where I know I'm going to be soon, it puts it into perspective, like, right? It's to her,
kind of look in the rear view.
Exactly. To her, it looks like how I looked at Charlamagne, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, here's this guy, this platform, this verified, and it's like, it's that conversation, like you're not too big, right? You want to have that conversation. That's never been me, right? So you want to have that conversation with me. You want to, I'm still talking to you as if it's 3 years ago when you wanted to send me music, right? So I tell her, I'm like, if you still doing music, send me some stuff. Because she said I sent you some stuff back then, and I'm like, I definitely didn't get a chance to listen to it because I don't really remember you. I'm like, so send me some stuff, and I listen to it, now or whatever. And she just was like, oh, okay, like, excited, right? So it's all about paying it forward. That's how I feel, right?
And it goes back to being genuine.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is like
being real, yeah.
That's the first thing I got out of you, is like, this guy, he's here. He's like, he's really checked in. Like, he wants to know what's going on with people around him. And yeah. So like, it's you're gonna say like common courtesy?
Common courtesy,
like, I think it goes a little step beyond that. It's beyond a little common courtesy, and it's like really being invested with your community.
Well, and that's the thing for me, right? Is coming from a Russian household, Russian background.
Communism?
How we view common courtesy, right, is on a lower level. Because to me, common courtesy, like that situation that you guys had, should be the norm.
Status quo.
That should be the status quo. That you should genuinely be interested in the people that surround you because they participate in the same community that you do.
Right. I was thinking about this earlier. Like, we're all interlocked.
Yeah.
To some degree, we're all interlocked.
Yeah.
And you gotta, like, keep that in perspective.
Right.
Because, like, you're an asshole to somebody, it's gonna come around again.
Oh my gosh, that stuff is real. That stuff is that what goes around. That karma stuff is some real stuff. That is some real stuff. You're always worried about, and going through this and getting messages from numerous people that's like, oh, we spoke this. Oh, you remember this? No, you remember that. It's like I always been, even when I was younger and finding myself, right? Going through my 20s and finding myself, and then here I am at 30 years old. I'm just like, and I get these messages. I'm like, I've always been a decent guy, like, right? Even when even when I was finding myself, right? And I'm like, I always been a decent, genuine guy or whatever. So it just, it makes me happy, right?
You can't overstate the importance of that, though, just to be a good person.
Yeah, definitely.
And if we're all doing that to each other, like, being good, I mean, hell,
we'll heal a lot of problems. That's for sure.
It's like that little kid in the superhero cape. I can't remember what it was, some sort of inspirational video, and he's like talking about, the world's got a lot of problems, and we could all solve them a little quicker if we work together.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, man, we covered so much, and we can cover way more topics, but that's what's so beautiful about having you plugged in at this point, having you be at this point. Now that you've been on the podcast, family of the 49.9 podcast, and we could talk so much more, like I said, but I think it's time to wrap this one up. We've covered a whole array of things.
So go ahead, just shout out the camera, let everybody know where they can reach out to you.
So everybody can reach me on any social media, any music platform at WolfgangJoc. So that's WolfgangJoc.
We will have it pop up right here.
And everything is all together. So it's like one word, WolfgangJoc. And that's where you can find me at. Appreciate you guys for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure, man. It's a pleasure. It's always beautiful having guests on the platform and not only opening up to us, but opening up to our viewers and our listeners. Definitely. And being transparent, which is absolutely what you were this episode. And again, thanks so much for giving your time. And really, I mean, this has been the 4099 podcast with your hosts, Dima and
Nervous Nick.
Still nervous after an hour.
I'm all sweaty, clammy.
Right, yeah, man. And thank you guys for really just tuning in. If you sat through this whole episode, thank you. And we'll come back at you next week. Thanks again.
Night, meow.